Hi, my name is Rabbi Shifra Weiss-Penzias, and I want to teach you my hints for Hebrew reading. I'd like to teach you what's called a mnemonic device. Like, for example, Bet has a belly button. And those mnemonic devices, that the B sound and the way the letter looks, is going to help you remember all of the Hebrew letters. This system I originally inherited at my first job from an educator named Tina Rappaport, and I've been working on it for many, many years with input from many teachers and many students. So we'll begin with the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, Aleph. My hint for Aleph is arms apart. So you can see that I look like the Aleph when I put my arms apart. So Aleph, arms apart. The next letter in the Hebrew Aleph-Beth, I already mentioned, is Bet. Bet has a base and a belly button. And for kids, I tell them it's a base like in baseball. It looks just like a base in baseball. Now you'll see that there's another letter that looks similar to this that doesn't have a base, and I'll get to that soon. Bet has a base, and vet, which is the same letter but makes a V sound, is vacant. Vacant, a lot of kids don't know what that word means, so I say to them, vacant is like in a hotel when it has a vacancy. It means that it has an opening, something is missing, no one is inside. So Bet has the belly button, but vet is vacant. It's open, it's empty. The next letter is Gimel. And everyone thinks that Gimel looks like a high-heeled shoe. So I'm wearing my high-heeled shoe to show you how much it looks like a Gimel. So let's see, can you see my shoe? You can bring the camera down. And Gimel has got a heel. Gimel has got a heel. Gimel has got a shoe. Now, everyone says to me, why don't you say Gimel has a shoe? And the answer is because Gimel makes the G sound. So all of my hints have the sound that the letter makes in it. So Gimel has got a shoe. Daled has a dent. Right here on the Daled, there's a dent. So, of course, Daled makes the D sound. Hey is a house with a window. See how there's the house and there's the window, as opposed to another letter that looks very similar but does not have a window. So we'll get to that when we get there. Vav is vertical. It's a vertical line. It just stands up tall like a vertical line. So Vav makes the V sound. Zayin looks a lot like a Vav, right? But Vav is more vertical and Zayin is more zigzag. See the zigzags here? There's two zigzags. There's one here and there's one there. So Zayin makes the sound of a Z. Z. Zigzag. Z. Now here's Chet, and you can see that it looks like the hay, right? The hay, which was right over here, I mentioned is a house with a window. Chet is a house with no window. So everyone inside is not getting enough air, and they're going, they're choking. Kids love that, makes them laugh, and it's supposed to be fun and funny. So Chet is a house with no window. So everyone inside is choking and going, and the Israelis, for them, it's normal to make a sound, but for Americans, it's very unusual. So practice the sound. And a lot of people think, oh, I could just not make that sound. No, you can't leave out a sound in the language. So Chet makes the sound. Okay, Tet is a trash can with the top tipped open. Here's the top and it's tipped open. It looks like another letter that does not have the top tipped open. So Tet makes the sound T. Yud is little. It's the littlest letter, so it's young. Yud is young. Oh, how cute, the little yud. Kaf has a cough drop. And you'll see that kaf also kind of looks like the letter C, like a backward letter C, which also makes the sound k. So kaf has a cough drop. Kaf kind of looks like bet, which has a base. And that's the difference, because bet has the base, like in baseball. I'll show you a bet so you can see what I mean. The difference between bet and kaf is in the base. Bet has a belly button and a base, and kaf has a cough drop and does not have that same base. Chaf is the same letter as kaf, but chaf has no cough drop. So again, because they have no cough drop, they have a sore throat. So chaf makes the sound ch. Chaf has no cough drop. Lamed is the longest letter. If you are taking a walk along one of the letters, Lamed would be the longest walk. Lamed also has a capital L right here. So Lamed makes the sound L, like the letter L. Lamed. Mem is a mountain with a man on top. Now remember, Tet was the trash can with the top tipped open. A lot of people confuse Mem and Tet, but Mem has a complete, it doesn't have the top open. It has a complete mountain on top. Mountain and a man on top. So Mem makes the sound mm. Nun looks like a gimel, the one that has the high heel, but Nun has no heel or no shoes. Or some people say Nun is not going. So Nun makes the sound n. Contrast it to the gimel, which looks very similar, but gimel has got a heel, or gimel has got shoes, and nun has no shoes. So nun makes the sound n, like the letter N. Samech is a circle, or sometimes we say a smile. So samech is the rounded letter, and it makes the sound s. Ayin is tricky because it's silent. So it really can't have a hint that sounds like it, right? But ayin looks like a Y, and it has Y in its name, A-Y-I-N. So ayin looks like a Y and has Y in its name, but it's silent. Pei looks like a face with a pimple. See how it kind of looks like a face? It has like a nose. So Fei is a face with a pimple. Pei is a face with a pimple, but it's the same letter as Fei, which is a face with no pimple. So Pei makes the sound P, and Fei makes the sound F. Tzadi has the top split. Now notice it looks like an ayin, right? But the ayin has the bottom split. Ayin is split at the bottom. See that? But tzadi is split at the top. Otherwise, they look very similar and people get them confused. But tzadi has the top split. And if you take the first letter of top and the first letter of split, you get TS. And the sound TS together is ts, like nuts. In nuts, say nuts. So when you say nuts, you're making that sound ts, like tzadi. Tzadi has the top split, TS, nuts, ts, tzadi. Kuf looks like a cracked wishbone. On Thanksgiving, some people take the wishbone out of the turkey and they let it dry and then they pull it apart and they grab one side here, they grab one side here, and they pull. And they get a cracked wishbone. Here's the crack. So kuf makes the sound k. Resh is rounded. And the sound resh in Hebrew is made in the back of your throat. It's a rolling R, like in Spanish, r, but you bring the roll to the back of your throat, r, or like a dog growling, r. Resh is rounded. It's rounded. It looks a little like a dalet, but dalet is not rounded. Dalet has a dent. Here's the dalet to contrast with the resh. They look very similar, but dalet has that dent right there, but resh is rounded. Here's shin. Shin is on the dreidel, and a lot of people know this letter because it's in Shalom or Shabbat. It's got a sister letter, the same letter actually, but makes the sound s, and that's sin. So how do you remember which one has the dot on the right and which one has the dot on the left? And I always tell people, sin is never right. Get it? It's a joke. Sin is wrong. So sin is never right. So sin has the dot on the left, shin has the dot on the right. So shin makes the sound sh, and sin makes the sound s, like the letter S. This is Tav, and Tav has a toe. See the toe? Just like with your foot, when you stick up your foot, you have a toe. Tav has a toe. I always stick out my toe to show everyone how here's the toe for the Tav. Tav has a toe, so it makes the sound t. Tav sometimes has a dot in it, and sometimes it doesn't, and that goes back to an ancient pronunciation that sometimes Tav would have a different pronunciation. But today we just say t, Tav, like in Shabbat. So those are all the main letters of the Hebrew alphabet, but then there are the Sofiot, the final letters. These are the Sofit letters, the final letters. So Sofiot is the plural, the final letters. In English, we have capital letters, and the capital letters are only found at the beginning of a word, but they're the same as the lowercase letters. So for example, a capital A is the same as a lowercase a, but you would only find a capital A at the beginning of a word. So just the same in Hebrew, these are only found at the end of a word. And so they're called the final letters because they end the word. There's only 5 of them. And the first one is Fe. Now this looks just like the letter Fe that I taught you. Fe is a face, and final Fe is a face also. But instead of the letter curving like this and having hitting the line where all the letters end on this line, this one drops down below the line. And most of the Sofiot, with the exception of one, drop below the line in the same way. Instead of the letter looking like its regular, or let's call it lowercase letter, that would curve around this way, like the Fe does, they just drop straight down. And that's what happens with a Fe. There's only one regular letter or lowercase letter that also drops below the line, and that's Kuf, which I taught you was a cracked wishbone, Kuf. Here is a final Tzadi, and remember I taught you that it has the top split. Here is a regular Tzadi, and you see that they look similar, but instead of the bottom going to curve around like this, it just drops straight down. Otherwise, it's the same and it makes the same sound, Tzadi. So this is Tzadi, Sofit, or final Tzadi. Nun, remember I told you, has no shoes or no high heel. And this looks just like a Nun, but instead of curving around this way, it drops straight down, and there's the final Nun, so of course it makes the sound N, like the letter N. Now here's the exception, which is the Mem. It doesn't look very much like the regular Mem, but it does have a marshmallow in the middle. See how it has that in the middle? It looks just like a marshmallow. So Mem is a mountain with a man on top, But mem sofit, or final mem, has a marshmallow in the middle. So it also makes the sound But when this letter is found at the very end of a word, it will be in this version, final mem. Here is a chaf, which looks just like the regular chaf, except it drops down, and it normally has inside these two dots, which are called the shva. And that's a whole other lesson about the shva. Sometimes it has another vowel inside, but instead of it being blank or open, it has this in it normally. But if you try to imagine that instead of it curving like this, it drops straight down, there's your final chaf. Final chaf is very common because we often say the word baruch when we're saying blessings. So final chaf is the last letter of baruch. Those are all of the Hebrew letters. Now I'm going to go over some vowels for you. Have you ever seen a cartoon where someone gets a great idea and a light bulb goes off shining over their head and they say, "Oh, I have a great idea"? Well, that's the same with the vav. Imagine this is a person with a light bulb over their head and they're saying, "Oh, I have a great idea." So here I am being a vav. Oh. So vav makes the sound O. Now, vav also can make the sound oo. And I'm going to get my ball to show you how. If you got hit in the stomach, and I hope that never happens to you, with a ball, your stomach would hurt and you'd say, ooh. So here I am being a person with a ball, just like the vav. Ooh. So vav makes the sound oo. Now there are other ways to make the O and the oo sound without the vav. So the O can be just the dot. So just like you have, this is called a cholam maleh, which is the letter with the dot. It's full. You can also have a cholam chaser, which is a dot without the vav. The same dot. See how that's the same dot? So if you see that, it's O. Moses' name, when you're reading from a Chumash, will say Moshe. So you'll have a mem with this O right there, and you pronounce the O, and that's how you get Moshe, the O. So that's a cholam chaser, just like this vav with the dot. They both make the sound O. There's also another way to make the oo sound. And that's with the three diagonals. Now, we have, at our synagogue, we do vowel aerobics. We imagine a cheerleader who is with his or her pom-poms going, ooh, ooh, ooh. 3 dots in a diagonal. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And there it is, your 3 dots. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You also have the vowel. And I teach people that this is a bed with a head under it. And that way you remember that it makes the sound the same as bed or head. Now this also makes the sound and it's just a bed. However, that's the modern Hebrew, the Israeli pronunciation. But if you were reading from the Torah, the traditional pronunciation of this would be A. Now, some of you may be too young to remember Happy Days, but there was a character on Happy Days named Fonzie, the Fonz, and he would stick up his 2 thumbs like this, and he'd go, A, like he's so cool, A. And so that's another way to remember this vowel, A, the two hands sticking with the thumbs up. A. So just remember, if you're reading from the Torah, it's A, but other times it will be E. So if one person teaches you that this makes the A sound and another person teaches you that it makes the S sound, they're both right. And honestly, you can do either one. These are A. Both of these make an A sound. So people say, well, why does Hebrew have two letters that make the same sound? Just remember that English has two letters that make the same sound many times. For example, C and K both make the sound K. That's how language works. Don't fight it. So both of these make the sound ah. And then this one dot, makes the sound I or E. And people say, which one is it? Is it I or is it E? Well, if an Israeli pronounces it, it's going to be halfway between I and E. English doesn't have exactly this sound. So for example, my name is Shifra. Did I say I or did I say E? Well, I said something that was halfway in between. So you could say either one and they'd both be correct. The final vowel, this one is called a shva. And shva is a little complicated because it sometimes makes a little sound, and sometimes it's silent. You'll learn the rules of the shva and when it makes a little sound and when it's silent as you advance in Hebrew. And those are all the letters and all the vowels of Hebrew. So now that you've seen this video, you can remember them all and you'll be able to read Hebrew with just a little bit of practice. Thanks so much for watching.
Let us sing the Aleph-Beth today. Vav Zayin Chet Et Yud Kaf Chaf. Chaf Sofit is very, very sweet. Lamed Mem Sofit Nun. Nun Sofit Samech Ayin Pei Pei. Pei Sofit is very, very sweet. Tzadi, tzadi sofit. Kuf Resh Shin Sin Taf. The Hebrew Aleph-Beth is super sweet. The Hebrew Aleph-Beth is now complete.